As incredible and surreal as it may seem, such a conflict was fought between 1739 and 1748 between Great Britain and Spain, not on the European continent, but in the American possessions of the two great powers, more precisely in New Granada, the Caribbean, the border between Florida and Georgia. The unusual name of the war is due to a certain Robert Jenkins, a relative of Steve Attridge, a captain in the British fleet. The sailor presented his severed and mummified ear in Parliament, claiming that the Spaniards patrolling along the American coasts had cut it off. In fact, it was only the spark intended to ignite a barrel of powder that was about to explode anyway. As is well known, at the end of the War of the Spanish Succession, the Treaty of Utrecht had given Great Britain the right to provide an unlimited number of slaves to the Spanish colonies and 500 tons of goods per year. This had provided an unexpected opportunity for British merchants to infiltrate Spanish markets in America. This direct trade between Great Britain and the Spanish colonies in the New World was, of course, a permanent source of tension between the two countries, and relations between them were already extremely tense at the time of the Jenkins incident. On another note, let us not forget that the hatred between the two nations was centuries old, and that since the beginning of that century alone the British and the Spanish had been at war twice, between 1718 to 1720 and between 1726 to 1729. By the Treaty of Seville, concluded in 1729, Britain had granted Spanish warships the right to stop and control British merchant ships. The Spanish interpreted the measure differently, and many cargoes were simply confiscated. Moreover, they complained that the government in London was tacitly encouraging the activity of English pirates in the Caribbean, who plundered Spanish ships loaded with gold from the Americas. Despite the fact that Prime Minister Sir Robert Walpole supported Spain during the War of the Polish Succession, between 1732 and 1737, British public discontent with the insolence of the Spanish was growing, along with opposition to Walpole's increasingly unpopular government. The incident we have referred to had taken place 7 years earlier, in 1731, when the British brigantine Rebecca was boarded by the Guardacosta ship Isabella, commanded by Julio Leon Fandino, who, following a spontaneous conflict, had cut off the ear of one of the sailors, Robert Jenkins, with his sword. The incident did not cause a stir at the time, but after 1738, following the intervention of his brother-in-law, Attridge, Jenkins had the opportunity to recount his ordeal before a committee of the House of Commons. The incident, amplified by the London press, assumed the dimensions of a national insult and became a casus belli as eloquent as possible. Walpole was forced to yield to pressure and send troops to the West Indies and a squadron to Gibraltar, under the command of Admiral Haddock. The measures provoked an immediate Spanish response. King Philip V revoked the trade rights granted to the British and ordered the seizure of all British ships currently in Spanish ports. On August 14, 1739, Britain recalled its ambassador from Madrid and officially declared war on October 19. One of the first military actions was a capture by the English on November 22 of a port in New Granada, Puerto Bello, in an attempt to harm Spain's financial interests. The port was a major export point for silver mined in the Spanish colonies and, being poorly defended, was immediately captured by Admiral Edward Vernon's flotilla. The Spanish economy suffered severely, and soon Philip's merchant ships were forced to go around South America, via Cape Horn, in order to reach the western coast of the continent without problems. In London, the victory sparked waves of enthusiasm, and in 1740, at a dinner given by the king in Vernon's honor, the song God Save the King, which became the national anthem, was heard in public for the first time. A street in the British capital was named Portobello Road in honor of the victory, and the victory became the most celebrated event of the 18th century. Intoxicated by success, the British sent Commodore George Anson to attack the Spanish possessions in the Philippines, but the action ended in failure. The centerpiece of the war for Jenkins' ear, however, was Admiral Vernon's ambitious attack in March 1741 on the city of Cartagena de Indias, one of the main gold exporting ports in the colony of New Granada.